Dear Rental Scale-Up members, I'm very happy here to have not just one guest, but two guests who are going to be talking about a great show happening very soon. So I really love you to know more about the Book Direct show taking place at the end of September. I think it's a great occasion for property managers, vacation rental owners, and really all kind of people in the hospitality industry to attend great sessions and have actionable insights. So to understand more about the show, I have here Deborah and Damien. They're going to both tell us about the show, about the background, and also give you maybe a quick preview of what you'll be learning there. Deborah and Damien, how are you?
Very well, thank you, Thibaut. How are you?
Very good, Thibaut. Thank you for having us.
I'm fine and happy to have you on board. And I guess we are recording this, I think maybe 2 weeks before the event. Like, how is it? How are you guys going?
We're getting there. It's been a long journey. We started this in March time, and really, you know, March time was a difficult one for us all. So really during a stressful time for us all, but a relatively quiet time too. We really decided just to kick on with our content for the show and speaking with prospective presenters, curating content, etc. So, you know, what you see now is the culmination of that, and yeah, we're super excited. There's a lot still going on behind the scenes, last minute, you know, changes, additions, etc. But it's exciting. It's all really good.
So if you could, in a nutshell, sum up what's the name of the show, what this is about, and who is it for? That'd be super interesting.
Sure. I'll cut in there, Deborah. So it's the Book Direct show. And the premise is very simple. It's for any property manager, be it short-term rentals, hotels, B&Bs, serviced accommodation, any manager of accommodations that is looking to drive more direct bookings and really take a little bit more ownership over their own business, and you know, just get a bit more independence in this new world that we're looking at, and just protect their business in a way perhaps that they've never been able to before. So we've got 50 plus speakers, all delivering actionable tips into driving more direct bookings, and yeah, that's it in a very brief nutshell.
And this is almost like going to the good old days of conferences where you would sit and you would take notes, because all the information was all educational. So watching each session, you're going to be able to take something from that session and apply it immediately, almost, you know, depending on your workload. But yeah, it's the good old days of educational sessions.
So I like what you both of you just said, because we talk about having more ownership, having real education, and that's something that's probably coming from your background, right? Because I think it's important. I mean, obviously, I will put a link to the show right under the video or the article, but it's also important that for people to understand maybe your own background, because it will show really people why you understand the needs of a property manager or anyone really working in the industry. Can you maybe share a bit more about your own background?
Sure, ladies first.
Well, I've been in the industry over 14 years, property manager and owner. And so I started really pre-OTAs as we know them today. So it was all about direct bookings. The OTAs were lead generators. So you got the booking, you ran with it, the guest was yours. You know, that was the good old days. And then the OTAs came along, made life easy for us. We got a bit lazy maybe, and bookings were just falling into our laps. But now, you know, things are changing a little, and particularly like with what's gone on this year with decisions being made without consultation. It's the, okay, wait a second. I want to go back to being independent. I want to be in control of my business. And that's where I'm coming from. My passion for direct bookings came from 14 years ago when I first started out, and we had that control. And there are a lot of people who just came into the industry recently that don't realize that you can actually create your own brand and stand on your own 2 feet and get your own bookings. And so the Book Direct show will teach them how to do that and be actually an independent brand. Yes.
Thank you, Deborah. How about you, Damien?
So yeah, well, like Deborah, my involvement in short-term rentals goes way back, 17 years or so now. When I first bought a property in southern Spain, And I remember the days when print advertising was a thing. Having little slots in magazines and even in a corner shop leaflets, things like this. Getting your message across that way, and this was well prior to the advent of Airbnb, etc. But yeah, my profession largely is as an SEO, search engine optimization, and really the reason this event came about was about 18 months or so ago. I realized that what I could do well for people who wanted to drive direct bookings was SEO, but there were a number of things that I could not do well. I'm not great on social media. I'm not a great email marketer, or many things. I realized when my clients asked me about this, well, actually, I'm really sorry, I don't know. I can help you with some direction. And I thought, well, there could be an actual event here whereby we can collect and bring all of these people together and actually under one roof, so to speak. And so this is what we did for our London conference in February, and this is what we're doing now for our online conference in this post-COVID, whatever you want to call it, era. We're all going online, and so that's the kind of premise.
So let's talk about that, because again, thanks from the two of you just shared your background, and let's see. I would like to think about three different people who may be interested in attending. Like an Airbnb host, for example, somebody who's just on Airbnb, was always on Airbnb, and it's a bit like Deborah said, it's like there's a world out there. There's other platforms. There's also your own bookings you could be having. I would like to think, well, then we can be talking about maybe somebody who's, for example, into urban short-term rentals, right? People who've been really affected by the COVID-19. And a third person I would like to think about is maybe like a vendor in our industry. So when you think about each of these different people, maybe what are, let's start with the Airbnb host. What are maybe 2 or 3 sessions in the, I think, 55, 57 sessions you have? What would be 2 or 3 sessions that should be really, really interesting for someone who's only on Airbnb, is trying to see what's out there?
Mm-hmm. I would say we come across a lot of people who are just Airbnb hosts, and that's all they've ever known, and and that's absolutely fine. We all go down different routes, but some of the I'm hesitant to say more basic or more essential sessions that we have are, for example, about designing websites and the anatomy of a website, how to build a good website that not only doesn't need to cost you much, but will bring in direct bookings, and how to structure things across your site to attract prospective viewers, and also the SEO behind that. I'm not delivering that, but we have someone doing a presentation on SEO, and so how to effectively get guests and travelers to your site as well before they hopefully book or inquire. So we've got some really great sessions like that. Lined up.
There's another one of the 7 stages of the guest experience. So once you've got that guest inquiry, all the stages to take them through to make them into a loyal guest. Let them, they'll come back and they'll love you and they'll spread the word about you. So that's the one Heather Bayer's presenting.
I was about to say, I was like, is it the one by Heather Bayer?
Yeah.
Because you have a great lineup of speakers, and for people who don't know, just watch out on the website. It's really, you have the profile of the speakers. It's really impressive. You can retell was not on that last minute. So that's maybe for Airbnb hosts, and again, it's actionable things can actually people do and follow along and actually implement, because it's all about implementing, right?
Yeah.
So how about this urban property managers, right? We know that with COVID-19, they've been hit really hard, right, in a lot of cities. So maybe they're watching now and they're like, wow, is there stuff for me? Am I going to be able to find maybe angles to think through how to also get direct bookings for my kind of business?
Well, there's one about building trust just through cleaning and making sure that your cleaning procedure is documented, updated, just to instill trust in the people that are landing on your website. So there's one about cleaning and building trust through cleaning. There's also one about vouchers, and I'd never even thought about vouchers before, but building loyalty through vouchers and things like that. That was a very, very interesting one. So there's besides besides your standard conference kind of subjects, there are other ones that I'd never heard of before. I'd never thought about vouchers. So because the conference is for short-term rentals and hoteliers, there's things that they do in the hotel industry that we don't do, or I'd never heard of before in our conferences. So we can all learn from each other, whether it's hotels, whether it's glamping. And there's one woman there, she talks about filling a year of occupancy through Instagram influencers. So it's something like that. You know, we might not have thought about that, but she explains the whole example of how they filled a year with this influencer.
That's fantastic. And to go a bit your way, so what are maybe like the big themes that will be available that we can think of? And maybe also, again, a few examples like things we didn't think about, because most people watching are probably, again, from, as you said, from the short-term rental industry. So what are the big things? I guess revenue management should be there, kind of topics, websites.
Yeah. We have so many themes. What started with just a few have just expanded massively. For me, one of the biggest ones is trust. Personally, with my work, that I drive traffic to a website essentially through the search engines like Google. But beyond that, what Booking.com are one of the best at is how to get people to do what you want them to do on your website. Whether that's through A/B testing, whether that's through moving certain things into certain areas, having accreditation on your website. All of those little things, how just to make your proposition be much more genuine, authentic, and trustworthy. That for me is a huge part of this, and we've got quite a few speakers who are touching on this, and one or two are really speaking. That's at the heart of their presentations. So, trust for me is a big thing, because we all know that major OTAs, and we love them. Don't get me wrong; this is not an anti-OTA event at all. But what they do well is they get their guests to trust them, to trust their brand. But I think we've all got the possibility and the potential to get guests to trust us. Even if it's not the first time around, the second, third, and beyond, as repeat guests, they should be trusting us. There should be no reason why they shouldn't trust us. Because after all, we're providing the service. We're providing the accommodation for their great stay.
I think the OTA's trust comes from them spending the big bucks in the marketing and everything like that. For us, the trust comes from the personal service. You actually, when you're dealing with a real person and you're getting the experience or the service that we're giving, that's how we build trust. So there's two levels, and we have an opportunity to build trust through our own personal service. Yeah,
that's fantastic. And also, I'm linking also for something you said, Damien, and you, Deborah, is that OTAs can also generate leads, and as you said, maybe people booking with you the first time. But if you deliver through your personal service, the great experience, it's kind of up to you also to make sure that they rebook with you, right? So that, and I think, I don't think some OTAs would say differently, right? It's been true for hotels for a lot of years, and this kind of thing. Another topic I would like to cover quickly as well is that what I like also, again, the roster of the people who can be speaking is not just people from the US. I mean, UK, Australia, different countries. So how do you think this conference, for example, is different maybe from other conferences that are around? So they all, I usually talk about everybody's events, so I'm not against anyone or pro anyone, but I'm just like, I think what's interesting, we all bring different perspectives and there's different angles. So I think your conference is very international. And what other things that maybe you think are a bit different in this conference compared with others?
Well, we've got speakers from 17 countries being represented here, which is really exciting. It's something that we've really worked hard at to make sure it is what we feel is like a truly global event and a global community that we're evolving here. Including all of our attendees as well. So yeah, very much international.
And from all different industries. We didn't have the same names from the conferences, so there are people here that I've never heard of, but they're well known in the hotel industry. So we're looking at the industry experts. Even Marco Gavia, he teaches Google. So it's like, of course, we want to know about Google. We want a teacher that teaches Google. So it was that sort of thing. Let's have the industry experts of that industry that they're teaching, not just property managers that know a lot about Google. So it was sort of that sort of thing. So we didn't necessarily want names that we all knew. We wanted names that knew what they were teaching, really. That's what they live and breathe. Sorry.
As you mentioned earlier on, Thibaut, we have got some exceptional names lined up here, and I'm so proud that that we've got such well-known names certainly in the short-term rentals industry being involved. But we also have a lot of people involved that a lot of people will never have heard of, and this is really because we've been kind of. I don't want to make it sound like we're stalking them, but we're stalking their movements
in a good way.
People are genuine advocates of the direct booking movement, and these are people that know their stuff. For example, what Deborah was talking about vouchers before, we've got Dan speaking about vouchers, how that can really help you ramp up direct bookings. The little things that you may not have thought of, like review management. We've got a couple of people, Christophe, you might know, and Joanne talking about reviews. How you can manage those reviews to your benefit to drive more direct bookings. Is all of these just different things that I admittedly, and I know Deborah and many people would never even think of, but they're tiny things that can make a massive difference.
After I interviewed Joanne, I looked at reviews in a different way. Oh my God, all this opportunity I've been missing out on. Oh my God, this is a great session. So it was things like that. It's really worthwhile.
I'm having a big crisis of fear of missing out. Now you say this, like I want to know too, because I do agree. Reviews are so powerful. So I look forward to hearing from Christophe and Joanna. The event takes place on the 29th and 30th of September. But obviously it will be pretty hard to sit for 2 days to watch that. So what tips could you give to people who want to attend and want to make the most of the session? For how long can they? I guess they can watch the session for more than 2 days. Yeah. What are the tips to really get the most of the sessions, and really make sure that I'm going to watch and I'm going to implement things for my own business?
Yeah, absolutely. The most important thing we can say here off the bat is that it's not a 2-day event, really. It's a 3-month event. All attendees will have access to the presentations for up until the end of December. So yeah, 3-month event, watch them at your own leisure. Most important thing, sign up, make sure you get access to them. And then, really just watch them in your own time. See the ones that you have prioritized and maybe, got down as a wish list to make sure you see them first, but also explore. We've got so many talks. We will probably have about 55 or so in the end. And so many things you may not have thought of interest, but there's little snippets of gold in each of them. I can personally guarantee it. Just what I advise, just take your time over them. And use all of that time if need be to explore all of these different areas where you can really drive direct bookings.
There is a topics page, so if you think you need to learn more about marketing, or you're just starting out and you want to know about the website design, you can go through the topics and work through the talks about that topic, and then you can move on to the next topic and learn all about guest experience. It's your own journey. You can chop and choose, or you might like a particular speaker. Okay, what's Eric saying about languages and translation, international travel? You can go by the person or by the topic or by the session name. But the other thing is, day one was going to be a live day. We were going to live stream speakers live from our studio, but now it's going to be live streamed because of possible restrictions. So we thought we'll just prepare for the worst case scenario. So on day one, there's only the one track, so it's just the 7 speakers. And at the end of each session, you can ask questions. So there is the first day of participation with the live speakers. And then the second day, we release all the other sessions. So day one, you can speak live, via questions, via Slido to the speakers. And we're finishing off with a good panel too.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And so before we conclude this again, so where should people go to if they are interested? What's the web address to the event?
So it's conference.bookdirect.show. And if you just Google Book Direct Show anyway, it'll be the first entry there. And yeah, and then there's a little section for tickets. But before that, by all means, explore, see what you like, see what's of interest, see really the quality of all the speakers we have. And you know, and I implore everyone, if they don't know the speakers, look them up, see what value they're going to give you before you even sign up, because we've got some real good ones in here, and I'm so excited to have them on board. And in a way, I can't believe we've got them all on board.
Yeah,
it's really exciting.
So to conclude, actually, I would love to hear, you know, each of you tell me, like, because I can sort of imagine, but not on that scale, what's been like to put this together, you know, between, you know, the restrictions, and as Deborah said, right, something should have been live and it's not possible because, you know, if you can fly in some people, you know, they can fly in, you know, whether they can leave to go back to their home countries or all kind of crazy things. So maybe each of you can you tell me, like, the one biggest challenge that you had to solve when putting together this session, and then maybe what you've learned from that? Yeah,
well, I mean, the obvious one is the pandemic. We had great plans to have a live in-venue, in-person based event in Barcelona, where we were going to invite 100, 200 people to join us, have that live streamed, etc. And even, you know, 2 months ago, we were still, you know, flirting with the idea. But, you know, the longer this went on, the more that spikes were occurring throughout Europe and especially in Spain. We realized it was less and less likely, and which is a shame because we had a really nice venue as well. But yeah, you know, this is the way of the world. And we decided a couple of weeks ago that really even a small amount of speakers to join us live was even going to be too tricky. So almost, yeah, well, it is exclusively online now. We are going to have some drinks afterwards for it. So anyone who's watching in Barcelona can come and join us after our first day. But yeah, that for me was probably the hardest thing. But I mean, time as ever, as I'm sure any events manager will know, there's never enough time to do all of the endless things that are involved.
I think, as Damien explained just now, I think it boils down to even though this baby was huge, you have to be agile. We had to make a decision. Okay, what's the worst case scenario? Worst case scenario is full lockdown. Okay, forget that. Let's plan for the worst case scenario. Let's not waste time planning for this in case it's shut down. So we had to be quite agile in our decision making and you know, coming to where we are now. For me, being in lockdown was great because, well, it wasn't great, but I was in Sydney. And I worked on my Sydney stuff all day, and then I was working on the Book Direct Show all night because Barcelona opened at 6 p.m. my time. So then my interviews were only, you know, from 6 p.m. till 10 p.m. at night. So I was working day and night. So I'm thankful that it was locked down. I didn't have a social life to have to pull me out every night. So I could just work Sydney and then Europe hours. So I actually, you know, I did get a lot done. And all the interviews that I did with speakers, I did about 30 of them. And that was actually a real pleasure, getting to know the speakers, not just asking their, you know, their opinion on OTAs or opinion on whatever. It was actually, you know, what job did you do when you were younger? What don't we know about you? And that was really nice. All the speakers actually enjoyed that, you know, to get to know you. So that was one thing that I really, really enjoyed. Besides the long hours and the, you know, the agility and the getting to know the speakers, it was really good.
Well, thanks, Damien and Deborah, for sharing this, because I think a lot of people watching are also entrepreneurs, so they can relate to what it's like. It's really shit to try to put something together, and things have to change, and you have to be agile. So it's also, I think, it's also adding maybe a bit of like a flavor to you know, watching the event and trying to understand what it was like to put this behind the scenes. Gives it, I think, even more value. So I'd like to thank you, both of you, for your time. We're going to put the link under the video in the article that's going to go along with the video as well. And I wish you a great conference.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Bye now.